Second annual Cure by Design is tomorrow at Hotel Roanoke. It raises money for cancer research and the American Cancer Society.
Today, WSLS 10's Lindsey Ward introduces us to a model who has battled cancer for the past 7 years while working on his farm in Franklin County.
Melvin Montgomery spends a lot of time on his dairy farm with these little helpers, his grandchildren. Heath and Heidi love to follow their grandpa around as he tends to the cattle. Since being diagnosed with colorectal cancer in 2007, he cut the farm back to 60 cows and let his son take over the day-to-day operations so he could focus on his fight.
You gotta stay with it and you can't let it win.
In 2010, when he found out the cancer spread to his lungs, Melvin made even more changes. So when he's not riding around in this John Deere, he's riding his motorcycle.
I decided Melvin hadn't never bought a lot of toys. He's gonna buy a toy, and there it sits.
He jokes he's now riding a trike and playing with his toy collection in his basement. As a lifelong farmer, he finds joy in collecting replicas of equipment he's actually used.
That was probably the best tractor we ever had.
After battling cancer for 7 years now, it would be easy to give up the fight, especially since he's undergone more than 100 chemo treatments and 80 rounds of radiation.
Had 9 surgeries. The radioactive PET scans. I've had 18 or 20 of those. I should glow in the dark, but I don't.
This positive outlook and his strong work ethic keep this father and grandpa going. In fact, last week, he put in 50 hours on the farm.
I mean, people don't understand, but when I went to take treatments in Roanoke and come back home and go down to the farm, get on a tractor and ride it 5 hours the rest of the day. But it's much better for me to do that than to sit in the house and watch TV or have a pity party.
Come Friday, he'll be at a party, not walking the farm, but the Cure by Design stage, offering 7 years worth of hope.
That's incredible.
He is a hard worker, and he has such a positive outlook. I had such a great time hanging out with him on the farm, and he's just so sweet. He said he never thought he'd be a model.
Kids with autism oftentimes feel left out, and a month ago, one local high school student thought he'd be left out of his high school prom. That is until one Northside High School senior with a big heart asked Joshua Smith to the dance and changed everything.
This is the moment Joshua Smith has talked about for a year now, but it was an uncertain journey reaching this teenage milestone. Josh's mom, Kathy, wasn't sure she would get to see the day her son put on a tux and jumped in a limo on his way to pick up his prom date. Joshua was autistic, and Kathy knew it would take a special young lady to take her son to the big dance. That special girl happens to be fellow senior Bridget Neal, whose brother Daniel is also autistic.
I've been looking forward to him being a part of something like this since he started talking about prom, and when I wasn't sure he was going to be a part of prom.
And he was looking forward to it too.
Start time for prom is 8 o'clock, but Kathy says Josh woke up at 6:30 in the morning going, it's prom day.
We steamed out the tux, steamed the shirt, and sat and waited. Vince waited, and he was looking at the clock. Is it time yet? It's not time yet, Joshua.
Finally, Josh got out of the limo to see his date for the first time. He'd never given a girl a corsage before.
Thank you. That's beautiful, Josh.
And just like that, prom night had begun.
She was too beautiful. I didn't have words when I saw her. Wow was the first thing that came to mind because she just looks so beautiful, and the burgundy color is her color. And I just looked at her and I started crying.
Had it not been for Kathy's Facebook post, these pictures at Hotel Roanoke and the Vinton War Memorial never would have been taken. And this prom never would have happened for Josh.
I hope that he remembers this night forever, and he remembers how much fun it was and how happy he was.
Bridget and Josh gather with friends on the dance floor, as high schoolers have for generations. A tradition just a month ago Josh had little hope of being a part of until Bridget picked up the phone.
You don't have to do like huge things to like make somebody else happy.
I am beholding to Bridget for being the not teenager that I expected. I am beholding to her mother and her dad for raising her right. And I have no other words because she's just awesome. She is my prom queen.
They had so much fun Saturday night, and Kathy says that she basically told Josh, okay, Josh, time to go home now.
One local man suffering from ALS says those living with the disease are no longer living in the shadows.
For Steve Pronko, taking the ice bucket challenge millions have already done takes a lot longer than most. His caregiver, Antonio, has to carefully push him onto the back porch and slowly work to get him out of the chair. Just last year, Steve was walking and breathing on his own. With his son AJ by his side, Steve explains what ALS has done to his body.
What did yesterday? You might not be able to do next week. Because it's always constant battle with accepting that you've lost something else.
Once an ER nurse, Steve now needs around-the-clock care with 2 nurses taking shifts. Jennifer Mundy is the ALS Association's Care Services Coordinator for Southwest Virginia.
It's a disease that just takes and takes from people. Today you can walk, tomorrow you can't.
Jennifer says money donated to the local chapter through the Ice Bucket Challenge helps pay for care and equipment for the roughly 50 people in Southwest Virginia suffering from the disease. A message that's finally getting out thanks to the viral challenges.
We're so thrilled and filled with hope.
After all the setup, as Steve and his son AJ take the challenge, he says the response in the past week on social media has really touched him.
The Ice Bucket Challenge has brought awareness. Awareness brings money. Money brings research, and research finds a cure.
A cure for a disease that sentenced Steve to a life in this chair on a breathing machine.
So you said this. I just want to thank him for sharing his story because he really is putting a face with this because it has been fun watching the videos, but there is a very serious side to this.
Fire, a 23-year-old Army specialist from Franklin County.
This is cell phone video. Army specialist Eric McGuire shot while on tour in Afghanistan. His primary job was to clear routes of IEDs. As you can imagine, it's a pretty dangerous job, finding and detonating explosives. He joined the Army at just 19 because he wanted to give service to his country and follow in his family's footsteps.
I just really wanted to push myself. I wanted to see what I was made of. I wanted to see, could I do it? Could I do what not a lot of other people can do?
On January 5th, 2012, Specialist McGuire did what not a lot of other people could do. On a mission, his unit came under heavy fire from the Taliban, and someone in the vehicle he was supposed to be in that day was hit.
So I was just thinking, who was it? What happened? Where did it come from? Where are these rounds coming from?
While shots were still being fired, Specialist McGuire got out of his vehicle, cleared a landing zone for a helicopter to touch down and carry out the wounded. He would soon learn it was his friend, Eddie Lychik, who was hit and facing a leg amputation.
It wasn't so much as I'm getting shot at, as much as, man, I hope he's all right.
He risked his life to get a fellow soldier to a medical tent. In fact, that soldier, Specialist Lychik, wasn't only in the vehicle McGuire was supposed to be in, but was sitting in his seat. Despite what could have been, the two have an extraordinary bond now.
He's going and doing things he's never had the chance to do, and I guess he's got a lease on life now that not a lot of us have. And he's always told me that he doesn't regret it, so all I can do is thank him.
It's hard for Specialist McGuire's mom, Suzanne Anderson, to think about how her son's story could have been written so differently.
And I think the actions he took that day, though again he would say he's not a hero because he's humble by nature, to me he is.
His service saved a fellow soldier and friend's life, and there's not much more heroic than that.
He's
wow.
so young. He turned 21 in Afghanistan, and he not only is getting this award from the Red Cross, but he also received an Army award as well.